Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Total War Attila, the Eastern Roman Empire, and History. And first of all, thank you so much for the positive response my first introductory video received. It definitely pumps me up and makes me want to do more of these, and I look forward to the spirited discussions with regards to the history in the comments of future videos. I do want to apologize, however, that the update frequency of these videos is going to be a bit less than my typical series, simply for the additional homework required to make sure that I'm on top of the history and I know it is what it is I want to talk about in these episodes. For the first two episodes, in terms of history, I want to discuss the question, why did the Eastern Empire survive while the Western Empire fell? And that's a very thorny and controversial question because there's obviously a lot that goes into it. There's people that have differing opinions, but utilizing my sources, I hope to break it down, and I hope to come to a satisfying answer. But before we do that, let's get things set up here. First thing I want to do is I want to research functional specialization, which basically will upgrade my spearmen to be a bit more formidable. And I want to look at our family. Our emperor is Flavius Arcadius. He's actually the brother of the Western emperor, Flavius Honorius, and our heir is Flavius Rufinus. Now we have a number of provinces, and you can see them all here, and we can only have 4 governors. So I want to assign governors to provinces. Eutropius is a eunuch and a good administrator, so I want to put him in Egypt, where he can hopefully get us more money. Anatolius Cato is a scholar. He benefits our faction's overall research, so I'm going to put him somewhere relatively safe. I'm thinking for right now, Syria. It's also a wealthy province. Findonius Mus is a patron. He benefits our wealth in terms of cultural buildings, so I'm going to put him in the capital of Constantinople, in Thracia. And finally, Gaius Aebutianus is a champion rider, which means he increases the experience of cavalry units, which isn't that useful to us right now, but I will put him safely in Asia, where he can hopefully eventually build the infrastructure such that he can recruit good cavalry. Another thing I want to do is I want to make my heir, Rufinus, a military count, which will cost me some influence at first, but it allows him to gain influence, so hopefully in the long run it'll be a good idea. Plus, it'll allow him then to move up the ranks. You can't, unfortunately, give your emperor a rank. Okay, so to get started, why did the West fall when the East did not? Well, let's look at the geography of the area. Now, Luttwak mentions in his book, The Grand Strategy of the Byzantine Empire, that the answer is not geography, because if you look at the geography of the West, it's more secure than the East. You have Hispania, which is protected by the Pyrenees and is surrounded on 3 sides by the Mediterranean. You have Italia, which is protected on the north by the Alps and surrounded on 3 sides by the Mediterranean. You have North Africa, which is a wealthy province, and it is also bordered on the north by the Mediterranean. There are some desert tribes to the south, but they are not particularly formidable. And then western and southern Gaul are also pretty protected and far away from the border. So really you only have the Rhine and the Danube as the borders and north of Britain. And yes, that's a very long border, and I'm sure it's very difficult to defend, but the people in this area, the Germans, have been fighting the empire for hundreds of years, and the empire has been able to defeat them. So this is not something new. They're mostly foot soldiers. They mostly raid. When you compare that to the East is a bit more spread out. It's on 3 separate continents, Asia, Europe, and Africa. While Egypt, Libya, Palestine, those are pretty secure at this point. The capital of Constantinople is very close to the Danube border and the barbarians who are currently rampaging through the land. You can see the Visigoths are here. South and West Anatolia are relatively safe, but to the east we border the ancestral traditional enemy of the Romans, the Sassanid Persians, who are very formidable, an empire in their own right. They're sophisticated, they have a professionally trained military, and probably they are considered the biggest threat to Rome in terms of sheer power. So the East has all these issues to deal with. The West really doesn't. But what the East has going for it is that it's typically more populated, it's more urbanized, and it has a lot more wealth, so that the Eastern Emperor has a bit more resources to work with in terms of dealing with these threats than the Western Emperor does. Still, though, that can't be everything, and we'll continue talking about that in a moment. But for right now, what I need to do is get our armies in a position to lead us to success. Legion 2 is here in Alexandria. Alexandria is relatively safe, so I'm actually going to move him to the west to Ptolemais, because just in case the desert tribes over here to the southwest decide to get uppity. Legio 22 is here in Melitene. I'm going to move him over to Thrace to help with the barbarian invasion. Legion 3, I'm going to do the same. Legion 11 is already there. Legion 10, I'm going to move up as well. Now, Legion 3, the Parthian Legion, I'm going to leave where it is because we need to have some troops to kind of guard the border with the Sassanids. But this game borrows some micro from Medieval 2, where if your generals stand still for too long, they get negative traits. So you'll see me moving them kind of from one city to another throughout the series to keep their movement down so that they can not gain those traits. And Legion 4 is up here in Viminacium, and I'm going to move him down to Tremontium, where there's gold, and just to get him into the theater. Now, the Visigoths, and this is their king, Alaric, they are so powerful, overwhelmingly powerful, that anywhere they go, they're going to conquer. And they're kind of random. Sometimes they just raid the territory, sometimes they raze it to the ground. That'll really impact our campaign, but we'll see what they do. I do, however, want to, if they are going to engage, I want to engage them with as much troops as I can spare, even if we lose, to whittle them down to the best of my ability. So I'm actually going to do that. I think I'm going to send this legion over to Tremontium as well, to kind of goad the Visigoths into attacking us where we're relatively strong. One thing I want to do, however, is this legion is at half strength. So I'm going to kind of move them out of town and move him into town so that the stronger legion is the one that's attacked. Alright, so all of our legions have been moved. The next thing we have to do is go to the provinces where we have governors and make edicts. So in this case, Egypt is relatively safe. So what I want from them is money. So this will improve construction cost and tax rate. Asia, on the other hand, is also relatively safe, but it's close to the front. So I could do a religious influence to improve Greek Christianity, and also our recruits will have training for their morale. But I don't think I'm ready for that just yet. I think I'm going to go with food production and growth, because if the Visigoths raid our territories, we're going to be losing food. In Syria, which is very protected, I'm going to go with maybe improvement to research or more money. We're going to go with an improvement to research. And finally in Thrace, which is going to be possibly raided, except for Constantinople, nothing here is safe. We should probably focus on, well, public order would be good here. Also, morale trainings, I'll be recruiting troops. You know what, I'm going to do public order here, and I'm going to go back to Syria and instead do money in Syria. That's how I'm going to do it. Also, someplace relatively safe, maybe Asia. I want to improve one of my farms. Now, it was told that if I go with sheep, I'll make a little bit more money. They're more viable in terms of wealth. But for right now, just in case we suddenly run out of food, I want to have wheat fields in place such that it produces more food overall than the sheep's. Did I say sheep's? The sheep. So, okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to help our situation diplomatically. Now, another reason why it's been stipulated the Eastern Empire survived while the Western Empire did not is the Eastern Empire utilized their resources more effectively in terms of diplomacy, in terms of bribes. Previously, the Roman Empire as a whole was so strong it could crush all of its enemies militarily. But the Eastern Empire by itself was not able to do that, and they knew that, so they had to come up with different options. In fact, in the grand strategy of the Byzantine Empire, Lutwak has a quote that I'm going to repeat here verbatim because it's just that good. It's better than I could summarize in 10 episodes. And what he says is, in essence, the Eastern or Byzantine Empire so greatly outlasted its Western counterpart because its rulers were able to adapt strategically to diminished circumstances by devising new ways of coping with old and new enemies. They were adaptable. They understood that they weren't as strong as they used to be, and so they had to find other ways to survive. And that involved sometimes paying off one barbarian tribe to fight another. That involved humiliatingly buying peace. That involved using military force in conjunction with diplomacy. And that's what we're going to try to do in this campaign. So first of all, the Huns, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We are currently at war with them, but they are neutral to us. So let's see if they'd be willing to give us peace.
That I have no stomach for the meek or nice.
I'm neither meek or nice, sir, so don't worry about it. But our success is moderate, but let's sweeten the pot, since they rejected it just by itself. So let's try again. But this time, let's give them a little bit of money. How about 860 gold? What about that? Okay, they've accepted it. So now we're at peace with the Huns. That will give us a little bit of breathing room in the west to focus on the Visigoths. The next thing we have to do is the Sassanids. We currently have a non-aggression pact with them, but they are neutral to us, and I want to improve our standing such that they leave us alone for quite a long time. So my idea is to marry the leader of the Persians' daughter to our heir, Rufinus. But unfortunately, they also are not going to agree to this without a little bit of a deal sweetener. And they expect more money, as they are a large and wealthy empire. So we're going to go with 3,000. That should be enough to get them to accept. And they have. So now you can see, if you look at our relationship with them, that our diplomatic marriage has gained us 20 approval points, basically. So now our standing with them is improving at a much more rapid rate. Now you'll notice there's some stuff here that we can't deal with, like for example, military actions against the Sassanid Empire. That happened before the game started, so there's nothing I can do to get rid of that, but it will slowly deteriorate over time. And this particular leader of Persia, Bahram, he is a person who admires strong empires. So we get a bonus with him because we are a great power. Now, if he should, say, fall, his heir might not admire great powers as much, might hate great powers, and it may really tilt the balance. But for right now, we seem to be on good relations with Persia. Everything seems to be smooth. So we'll go into more detail in the next episode, but to summarize in terms of the differences between the West and the East, the West suffered from bad leadership. It really didn't have the adaptability that the East had. And the East played a role as well by utilizing their strengths to send some of the barbarians from the East to the West. While they were nominally allies, there was some animosity between the two halves of the empire, and different court officials had different axes to grind. So they weren't always necessarily acting in concert, which is a fact I will go into more detail in the next episode. Okay, what else should I do here to kind of prep ourselves? We're running low on cash. Our armies are ready. We've done our research. Family tree's all set up. Some questions I have that maybe those of you who are more familiar with the game can answer for me is how to deal with piracy. It's removing my wealth here from the sea by 28%, and that seems like a big deal. I mean, do I have to recruit a naval force and send it up here? Is that the only way to get rid of piracy, or is there another way to do it? That would definitely be helpful. And also, an area of the game that I'm not quite great with yet is building, like what to build and where. I typically find that I don't have enough money. Like, for example, right now I'm earning 2,500 a turn, and that typically is enough to upgrade one building. And so, obviously I want to make that one building count, but I'm not quite sure the best way to do that. I'm almost certain that when I end the turn, the Visigoths are going to attack, so I'm going to end this turn early, but next turn we'll continue to delve into why the Eastern Roman Empire survived while the Western Roman Empire fell, and we'll probably have a big battle with the Visigoths, so that'll be fun. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'm Marcus Aurelius. Have a good one.